on. There we go. There's about a tenth of an inch of ice accumulation across parts of Kalamazoo County at the current moment. I just measured it just a matter of 15 minutes ago. Sorry about the mic. I had it muted, but this is a live update regarding the ice storm that is going to be moving through or continuing to move through parts of southern Michigan. So we're going to have a look at the current radar and as well as a look at the models for what is ahead. So I'm going to pull up Radar Scope real quick so that we can have a look at the latest radar. I'll just pull this off real quick. There we go. All right, so hopefully everyone can see that right now. So here's how it looks on the radar. We're going to go to Fort Wayne, and you can see there's a lot of heavy rain moving through, and some of these storms down here at the bottom still have some lightning on them even as they move through at the current moment. And I do think some lightning might be possible even as far north as southern Michigan as we see this rainfall continue to move through the area. If I get a precipitation depiction, you can kind of see where the freezing rain is falling. Right over here, you really have had mainly rain, okay, across Berrien and Cass counties. A lot to do with the lake influencing the temperatures over there. But over here, we've seen quite a bit of mostly freezing rain throughout the day. So that freezing rain is going to continue for, I believe, at least a couple more hours before we start to see a transition to rain as that warm front continues to lift off to the north. And then meanwhile, I do expect some stronger thunderstorms, maybe even some severe thunderstorms, to make their way through parts of Indiana as well. Here is a line of thunderstorms, a squall line that has developed in parts of Illinois and Missouri. It prompted a few tornado warnings, as a matter of fact, in parts of Missouri. Now it is moving through Illinois and is making its way towards Indiana. Now these storms are packing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And not really too much hail with this. Again, keep in mind temperatures around here are close to 70 degrees at the current moment. Very stark difference between the two air masses that are moving through at this current moment. So this squall line will continue to move through towards Indiana. Southern Indiana is going to see the impacts from this severe thunderstorm line in a little bit. Now, back to the ice storm that's continuing. Multiple power outages being reported. If you've seen it on Consumers Energy, quite a few power outages still ongoing there. There's that freezing rain setup you see there. Any area you see in pink is either getting a wintry mix or freezing rain, more likely along the lines of freezing rain in the areas that are pink. And then green, again, is just normal rain, not really sticking like most of the freezing rain is. But it's still falling, getting quite heavy here, especially in St. Joe County and Hillsdale, where you have that blue a little bit. It's having a little bit of difficulty reading the fact that that is freezing rain. But freezing rain continues, and it's going to continue over a couple hours still with this system. A very potent system that we have moving through the region. Let me go back to the graphic that we have here for the models. I want to show you the outage map for Consumers Energy real quick because I want to give you an idea of how many power outages we actually have going on here. And it is continuing to update. At the current moment, this Consumers Energy in southern Michigan. We'll also take a look at Midwest Energy for those of you in southwest and southeast lower Michigan. But let's take a look at the Consumers Energy outages total here. Really focused down to the south where we've already seen that freezing rain. You do have about 6,000 people without power at the current moment, and I do expect that number to rise as the winds continue to pick up as well. Yep, power is still on here in Leonidas. We're pretty close though to an outage that's just to the south here because Mendon, just south of Mendon, we do have a power outage that's affecting close to quite a few people, 946 people, close to 1,000, and that whole area is starting to see outages, and the crew is assigned to that. It's likely going to be fixed sooner or later, and then we've just had a few recent outages that have appeared on this map as well. So power outages do continue. Trying to zoom out here. I'm not sure why I can't zoom out on here. There we go. These outages will continue to come in throughout much of the day. So, and I do think there will be quite a few more. There's a major outage here in Jackson, it looks like, affecting 2,000 people at the current moment. That's the first red outage I've seen from this ice storm event. And as the winds continue to pick up this afternoon, which they will, with that warm front and cold front coming in, we'll start to see some more outages start to filter in. Let's take a look at Midwest Energy's outages. This is across southwest and southeast lower Michigan. Let me go to the map here and we'll have a look. All right, it's booting up. Here we go. Not really as many outages. You have 3 outages here. You have one closer towards Van Buren County, southern Van Buren County, and then you also have some that are a little bit farther east as well, near Fairfield. So definitely want to be prepared for the possibility of power outages. There is still ice accruing in some spots, so you're definitely just going to want to keep that in mind as things continue to roll on forward with this ice storm, which they most definitely will. So let's take a look at the models real quick and get an idea of what exactly is going to happen as we continue forward with this ice storm event. I'm going to go to a forecast loop real quick. We're going to look at the GFS first. We're not going to spend too much time on it because it gives a very broad analysis of things. I really want to get to a more focused analysis with the HRRR model. But let's progress this forward a little bit. You'd kind of notice as we get into about, well, this is actually the model for, I would say, about 3 p.m. So we're 45 minutes past this, but you do have heavy freezing rain continuing across much of this area, and it is a little bit displaced far to the south. I did think that could possibly happen a little bit with this storm setup that we had here. You do have that cooling effect of the rain that's occurring with this as well. But you do see that at some point it will lift a little bit off to the north. It will start to rain normally. I do think the elevated surfaces will still be rather slippery though, with the thick layer of ice that it has now. And as it gets cooler tonight, which temperatures are expected to drop into the low 30s, maybe below freezing, we'll start to see a refreeze on some surfaces, I believe, as well, which will still lead to some impacts across parts of areas that you see shaded in pink. The ice storm warnings remain in effect until 4 a.m. for Kalamazoo County, for pretty much any area from South Haven over towards Detroit. You do have those ice storm warnings continuing to remain in effect. Still a very powerful system that we do have moving through. Let's go to the HRRR now to get a look at that real quick and see exactly what it's saying with regards to this event. I'm going to fast forward to the most updated model. You do see it shows shades of purple. It seems the HRRR is putting out a freezing rain. It is putting out freezing rain, and look at this. You do have that really decent setup for freezing rain still in place, and temperatures that are just at freezing. If they go a little bit above freezing, we'll start to see normal rain. You can see it's very, very close to that right at this point. But freezing rain potential is there. You have that warm layer just about 1 kilometer that stays warm at about mid-40s just above the surface, and at the surface you have that cooling trend where you get some of those super cool droplets, and they land and they freeze on contact with some of the surfaces on the ground. So that is definitely in place, and it is going to start to dissipate though rather quickly. The HRRR is hinting at that as well as we see temperatures begin to warm up a little bit more. It still has the best guess precip type for freezing rain, despite the fact that it does show green on this current radar graphic here as well. And the HRRR actually does hint at it still sticking around in Kalamazoo and northern St. Joseph County for the possibility of freezing rain in that region. Let me zoom in a little bit more. It does show a different best guess precip type. It's really hard to guess. Really, it could be either or as we get into the evening hours with this event. Let me zoom in on Michigan real quick because that's really where the focus of the action with this is happening. So going back to this is at about this is where we're at right now, 4 p.m. It does show that transition to rain going in parts of St. Joe County. You continue it forward, it still shows that there's going to be kind of a very tight gradient between regular rain and freezing rain across parts of Kalamazoo, St. Joe County, and then this region is going to still be facing rainfall as well. Freezing rain also continuing in eastern parts of the state, especially in Detroit, seeing that freezing rain setup in place as well. The dew point is also lower, and it's a bit drier air that's falling into, so it's going to have a little bit of an easier time freezing up. So that's something that is noticeable on that graphic there. And you do notice that as we get towards 8 p.m., you see a good transition to rain across much of southwest Michigan, parts of Allegan County as well. We'll start to see just rain, and then the rain will begin to end shortly after that. Maybe some light freezing rain afterwards on the backside. That would not be any surprise to me. If I get a sounding over this region here, it does show those temperatures still at freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, dew points of 30. So I do believe freezing rain could possibly return, like a freezing drizzle potentially, across parts of southern Michigan as well. It may not show that, but I do think some freezing rain will return just for the early morning as well. 3 a.m. you might see a few pockets of heavier freezing rain before this system finally begins to come to an end across parts of Michigan. So wouldn't be surprised to see some more impacts from this as well. I did see a video of a semi-jackknifing on I-94. There are some accidents that are currently ongoing with this particular ice storm. So definitely not a good time to be on the roads no matter where you are with this event. Places such as Sturgis even have been seeing ice. Three Rivers has seen ice. I've gotten reports of ice in Three Rivers occurring as well. So there is decent ice accumulation that is going on with this thing. So it's definitely something to keep track of with this particular event. But let's take a look at the ice accumulation totals, or the comparison of what the models are going to say with regards to ice accumulations through the remainder of this event. Now, putting out some pretty impressive values as of 3 p.m. Okay, pretty impressive values for ice accumulation still continuing. 0.8 inches is a large amount for the HRRR to be putting out. Let me go to a compare models loop so we can get a comparison of what all the models are saying. HRRR showing that larger amount of ice accumulation potential still in place. So places such as northern St. Joe County may see around 1/10 of an inch or so. Not really a large amount. There might be some small pockets of heavier. And then you have that focus point in eastern Michigan, Jackson, those regions that could still see quite a bit of icy accumulation from this. And then GFS still showing that southward play for ice accumulations as well. And then let me actually go to the most recent model chart so that we can use. So there's your GFS model showing, again, that set up. The NAM model still showing that southern mode as well, the focus of freezing rain off the eastern portion of Michigan. And then still very decent consistency where the focus of freezing rain will be. You also have 1/10 of an inch still in St. Joe County. It's interesting that there's still not a winter weather advisory out for St. Joe County. They did expire it at noon today with the expectation that the rain transition to rain will occur, but there still is some icy accumulation going on in that region. So still could see some impacts. In fact, still seeing some power outages connected to that event down there to the south. 1/2 inch of ice still across parts of Flint. Lapeer County still could get 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch with this event as well. So still a lot to get through. Still some ice that we're going to be dealing with. Again, let's take a look at the latest power outage update from Consumers Energy. Consumers Energy outage map right here. We'll get one last update on the power outages before we call it for this quick stream. All right, so really still not seeing any new power outages that I developed. It's still a lot to, we're still waiting to see later updates, but I do think this number still is going to continue to rise. You can see a bunch of little tiny places are starting to pop up. 8,000 people. We increased it from 6,500 to 8,000 just after I began the stream. So we are starting to see a lot of new power outages begin to develop. Leonidas got a good 1/4 inch. Yeah, trees are sagging in Vicksburg as well. It is definitely, we're definitely seeing that ice accrual across parts of much of the area, even places that don't have that winter weather advisory in place. So definitely keep track of the ice that's accruing across your sidewalks, across your porches, and power outages are definitely coming. All the crews are out and busy, so just be aware of the potential for that continuing. All right, I'm going to end the stream here as long as there's no other comments from anyone regarding questions. It looks like we're all good. So just stay safe. Try to stay off the roads until this event is over. We should see this ice start to let up later on this evening into tonight, and then maybe a little bit of freezing rain early in the morning as well. But then it will finally be done, and we will actually see warmer temperatures close to 50 degrees tomorrow. So that'll be something that we have to look forward to. So thanks for checking in. Stay safe, and I will see you all a little later.